This episode is part of our On the Rise series where we feature new and up and coming agents that are starting out and making a name for themselves in the industry. Every top agent has to start somewhere, so we hope this series will give you fresh insights and ideas on how new agents are breaking through and making a splash in the industry. All right, I am very excited to introduce my next guest. I'm speaking with Jay Friesen, a realtor with Remax from Woodstock, Ontario. Jay has been in the real estate business for about a year and a half, and his sales volume has already passed $20 million dollars in this calendar year, and we're not even done yet. So I was very eager to chat with Jay and learn exactly what he's doing to garner all this success in such a short time, which is pretty rare to see. So Jay, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Top Agent Podcast.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be on here.
Awesome. So you've been in the business, about 1.5 years. Is that accurate?
A little over 16 months, yeah. So not quite
Okay.
a year and a half. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Even less. So,
Mhm.
before we get into that, tell me about your background and how you got into real estate.
So my background is in automotive manufacturing. I worked at Toyota for 24 and a half years. I was in management for the last 14. So I've managed a lot of people, had a lot of connections. A lot of people trust me uh, to help them through their day and to manage projects. So a lot of project management background. And to get into real estate, I've built my last three houses or had them built, and always interested in real estate, like pretty much everybody. But I know when I retire in from Toyota in 5 or 6 years, I wouldn't want to do nothing. So I thought, I get in real estate, do it part time until I retire, and then dig into it. But then it just exploded. So luckily I retired from Toyota about 2.5 months ago. So now I'm going gangbusters.
Nice, nice. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So we're nearing the end of 2021. What's the sales volume you're anticipating to close out the year?
I closed the year pretty close to about 23, maybe 24 million.
Wow. That's huge. So that's congratulations. It's not too often you hear those type of numbers so early in a real estate career. So congratulations. That's quite
Thank
the
you.
accomplishment. So let's break that down. Everyone listening is going to be wondering, like, how on earth do you get 20 million in sales in your first year? So
Mhm.
did you have a big network and sphere of influence when you were starting out, or how did that look?
Well, the biggest reason is my team leader. She has a very big sphere of influence, Jennifer Gale. I joined a team. I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, so I joined the team, and she has a lot of this big sphere of influence. That's where I started from there. And also, yes, I do have a lot of friends at Toyota that I've garnered over the last 24 and a half years. Even friends from my high school days back in Tilsonburg. I was through Facebook and Instagram and all that, reconnecting with those people. And it's just, yeah, so pretty much from everywhere, my whole career and my whole life, just trying to reach out to people and that they trust me. So trying
Yeah.
to see if I can help them out.
Awesome. So that's something I hear a lot. A lot of successful realtors, one of the common tips they give is for new agents to join a team. So
Yes.
what would you say is the biggest or some of the biggest benefits of joining a team?
Well, for the first thing is, especially I have an admin that when you take all the training and schooling, you can fill out a document in the training, but it's not nearly like filling it out live. So having a team, you have lots of resources to ask questions. If you have a question about this, about that, I have three or four other agents you can pull from their experience. Your admin can help send documents, fill out documents, that type of thing. So just a lot of bouncing information off somebody, especially when you're new. A lot of things I don't know that these people know. So rather than reaching out to somebody you don't know or maybe your broker, you have that immediate contact that you can reach out to in a second and have an immediate answer.
Yeah, it makes sense. What about the lead generating part? Are leads also provided to you as well as part of being on the team?
Yes, they are. So we have a great CRM that we use that leads are divvied up amongst us all, and as long as we're using our CRM properly, following up on those leads, then they usually generate more leads because they have a friend that, oh, I'm glad you followed up, thank you, and the next you know you get referrals from that as well. So yes.
Okay. So I want to dive into that because it's one of those things I think sounds a lot simpler and easier than it actually is, right? Just because
Hmm.
leads are given to you, it's what you do with that now, how you nurture it, how you follow up. So are there when that lead is passed on to you, are you using your own strategy or how does that look?
Uh, Pretty much using my own wording. We do have scripts. There's different things you can follow when you're interacting with a client. But I like to put my personal touch on things and find common ground. And lots of times you're not even talking about a house. You're talking about certain other things, and then it leads to talk about a house. They get to trust you a little more. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So break that down a bit more in detail. So let's just use an example, right? Let's say you have, first of all, how many leads would you say you get like a month or a week?
In a, it's hard to say on month to month. But I'd say anywhere from 20 to 30 leads a month.
Okay, nice. So when a lead hits your inbox, let's just say, what's the first thing you do in that case?
It depends on. They usually say what preference they would refer would like you to reach out to them. So if it's an email or text, they'll do that. But I like to call. Uh, I'm not a. I don't like doing emails, and that's what COVID's kind of. I don't know what a regular market kind of looks like, but COVID's kind of restricted personal contact. So I like to do a phone call, reach out to them, and it depends if they're buying or selling, on how the conversation goes, what their needs. But I try and find out what their needs are, and we go from there.
That's interesting. Yeah, you've been in real estate just during the COVID era, so you don't have
Hmm.
the experience before that, which is interesting. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, you like to get on the phone, get that voice to voice going. Um, what about the follow-up process? Like, are you following up manually? Like, how do you manage those follow-ups? Like, is it by phone again? Are you sprinkling in email, text messages? How does the follow-up flow look like?
Yeah, and that all depends again on the person, but I always put a task in my CRM because, like if you got, there's probably about 600 people in my CRM database that I have that I trying to follow up on, and if you don't have a good system, that's going to take a lot of brain work. So I just put a task in there for 2 3 days, whatever the case may be, to follow up on a status or a property, just pretty much whatever each conversation leads to. I just put a follow up task so I know I'm getting back to them within a certain time, so they kind of have trust or know that hey, he's following up, not just letting me lay here.
Yeah. So I'd imagine the leads you're getting are pretty like warms or hot, like very qualified if you're actually closing that many deals in a year. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty much every lead we get is somebody who's either reached out to us or and recently or in the past, and we're just following up. Whether it's somebody that hasn't contacted in 6 months, just follow up. Hey, how's your property search going? Are you interested in selling? That type of thing. So, but yeah, everything's pretty warm.
Yeah. Do you have any, are there any automated follow-ups you have in place to
Yeah,
nurture the
we do.
leads?
Yes, we do have different types of nurture leads. So whether it's a buyer nurture or seller nurture, uh, and just different frequencies too. If somebody's a hot lead, they get an email a little more frequently versus somebody who's just kind of contacted. Might be once a month, might be once every 2 months, but there's different types of frequencies and different types of nurtures emails that we send.
Yeah. Can you talk about the actual lead generating process? Do you know what's being done behind the scenes to get these leads in the door?
Yeah, we do have. So we do have an ISA that does do some cold calling to try and get those leads for us. So that's very good. We do door knockers, so we go around to people's houses and especially in neighborhoods we've sold a property recently. We do that. Also, reaching out just to people through social media, and all my properties I list, they go on a couple different platforms, and then I usually get leads from those people asking a question about it. Open houses. I have 4 open houses I'm doing this weekend, so I try and do, now that we're back into that, trying to do as many as we can. I like having people. It almost always leads to somebody coming in that doesn't have a realtor that is looking for somebody to help them out. So
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to get into some of that as well. So we talked about a lot of the leads that are fed to you through the team and the system, but I was wondering what you do proactively. So you mentioned a few things like door knocking,
Mhm.
open houses. So start with door knocking. That's like how often do you do that? Like is it structured in your day where you're doing like X amount of doors a day or week or anything like that?
Yeah, sorry, not actually knocking on doors. We just put the door knockers that hang on the doorknobs, right? Yeah, so we'll go around neighborhoods and do that. Obviously, if somebody's in their driveway, we feel free to talk to them about what's going on in the neighborhood. And we do send email flyers out to different neighborhoods as well.
Okay. Anything else like proactive that you're doing? Like, do you do any cold calling yourself, or is that just the ISA that's
No, I. That's one thing I don't like doing is cold calling. Unfortunately, I know people have their strengths and weaknesses, and cold calling is not one of my strengths. So I leave that to somebody else.
fair enough? Yeah. Do what you're good at for sure.
Hmm.
Um, what about open houses? So I know a lot of successful agents I speak to, they really look at open houses as not a way to necessarily sell the home, but literally just a way to
Hmm.
generate leads. So do you have any tips, strategies, things you do at an open house to help like generate more leads, build more relationships?
Uh, I don't think nothing that anybody else is doing. I Because of COVID, we have to track. So I usually typically get them to text me, so I have their name. I tell them I won't use your information for anything but to follow up once, see what you thought about the house. And a couple of times it's led to them contacting me back saying, I have an agent. Would you mind showing me this house? So and it's just really just being personable. Everybody's there that need help, and yeah, but nothing really out of the ordinary for
Yeah.
open houses.
I feel like an open house lead is, or someone you meet at an open house is uh, probably a little different than like a lead coming in online. Like this is someone that like you literally see face to face. They're
Hmm.
likely very, very active and looking for a home, potentially even like a seller in disguise in a lot of cases. Um,
Hmm.
do you do anything like after the open house to get in touch with these people with like maybe a follow-up call, a text message, anything like systematic like that, or are you just like sort of freestyling it as you go, depending on the case?
No, yeah. So like I said, when they do text me their name, I have their name, and then I do follow up, whether it's that evening or the next day, and just say, "Hey, John, thank you for attending the open house. Do you have any good feedback for my clients?" And then we get a conversation going that way. If it's just might just be a dead end, they say, "Yeah, house was good. Uh, thank you very much." And I'll follow up again one more time, and that could lead to potentially to something. So it usually does. I usually get at least one out of every open house that leads to some type of a purchase somewhere else, or like you said, most people have a place to sell, so it could be a sell buy as well.
Nice. What would you say is the number one like marketing channel for leads? Is it like, for example, open houses, like online,
Uh,
social media? Like, what's the number
you,
one?
you, you know what? For me, it's just having a listing. You have a
Mm.
listing, and you get a lot of contacts, whether it's other realtors, and a lot of people put in their listings. I'll charge you 0.5% if I show your buyers the house. I don't really care about that. If somebody's from Toronto, obviously not going to necessarily drive down here to see my listing. I will show them a listing, and also just having the listing. You usually get five or six, if not 10 people through Realtor.ca that, hey, you give me more details about the house, and that usually ends up into some type of a lead as well.
That's true. Yeah, there's nothing, yeah, nothing better than having that listing. There's so many doors that I
Hmm.
can see just open up, and people reaching out to you, and just more contacts being added to your database,
Yes.
for sure. So let's talk about that, like the actual listing itself. So it was 23 million in 2021. How many
Yes.
transactions is that, like listings, like sales, is that in a year?
So it's about 40 transactions total.
Yeah.
There is a couple rentals in there that I helped support, but for the most part, I can say probably 25 were my buyers and 15 were listings.
Okay, nice. So a lot of
Hmm.
selling listings, so that's good. So
Yes. Yes.
Um, let's talk about the actual sale itself. So at the end of the day, you do have to execute and deliver.
Hmm.
One thing is to get the listing. Next is to actually deliver and sell that listing for whatever price you and your clients agreed upon.
Hmm.
How do you differentiate your listings from, let's say, that the handful or dozens of other hundreds, if not other listings in your neighborhood or community?
Well, first thing, like we have a fantastic photographer in house, so our photos are very good. We try and specifically choose photos that attract the buyer, especially the first couple photos, as well as the even the wording in the listing. Like any social media, the first five or whatever words catch your attention. So if every house you see says "Welcome to da 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 da,"
Yeah.
I try to do something a little different. My most recent listing, my wife thought it was a little cheesy. It said "Stop the car" because it's a fantastic property. It's a 2 acre property, and so I try to do a little bit different with the actual listing wording, just to show people it's not just a regular house, right? There's something special about this particular house.
Yeah. A lot of the agents I speak to as well talk about how important like that actual description and the wording is and the communication and for just a couple of the common characteristics that I hear other agents doing it is really talking about the not so much the features of the home, but the benefits, like what you can actually do with the features. So, for example, if a home has a nice deck, it's you're not just saying how beautiful the deck is, but like what you can do with the deck, like
Mm-hmm.
barbecues and setting the lifestyle. What any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's that listing I was just talking about. I put on there, you could have your gardens or any type of sporting event you want because it's just a huge yard. So I do that as well. Try and put in some specific instances or thoughts that something. Oh yeah, I could see my family out here barbecuing, or we could garden over here, that type of thing. So yes,
Yeah,
that is very important. I agree.
yeah. Um, how do you deal with like the market nowadays, where I'm sure you probably had listings with dozens, if not more, offers. How's that experience been?
That's the hard part to make sure that everything's organized and you have actually received all the offers. On my last listing in London, I had 10 offers, and just verifying that I have the most up to date offer because some people put in a better offer before the time frame. Making sure that I've reached out to everybody to make sure I have everything and organized, and then the biggest thing is presenting to the sellers is making sure that you have there's a lot of different facets to each document for a closing date, conditions. So just because one's top dollar doesn't mean that it is the top one. So you have to recommend that best offer to your clients, and that's yeah, it's a lot of work. So
Yeah.
uh, especially like you said, the multiple offers nowadays, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, and I think you hit that. A lot of cases, it's not always about who has the highest dollar amount in the
Hmm.
offer. What would you say are some other um, on non-quantifiable parts of the offer that can make that one better?
A buyer's letter. On my YouTube channel, I do have a little video on there about a buyer's letter, and it's very important. And presenting it in yourself. Most people during COVID, you couldn't present an offer by yourself in person. So whether you send a video in with your offer or your buyer's letter, but a buyer's letter is very important, especially if it's an investor who's doesn't have any emotional attachment to the house and just looking for the top dollar, it might not be of much value. But if it's somebody who's loved their house for 20 years, you know, your buyer letter is perfect.
That's a good video. I'd imagine a lot of people are doing buyer letters now than before, but do you see videos as well? Haven't heard that one before.
Our office, I haven't personally, but in our team, actually, one of my team members sent in a video with her offer, and
Nice.
they have received a few.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that being pretty effective as well. What
Hmm.
about on the buyer side? Have you been in a lot of deals where your buyer was competing with, again, 10 plus dozens of other offers?
Yeah, I've put in offers. There's been 21 offers, and so it's usually a numbers game with that. What I do is all my deals and other deals that I'm in on. I kind of have a spreadsheet that, so if I know asking price is $400,000, I know there's 10 offers and the top offer was 500,000. I do kind of do the math, so I know there's about $10,000 an offer, and that's kind of what we do with our clients is, look, we're 11 offers. We got to go at least 100,000 over, that type of thing. So trying to guide them that way, but with some specific background data, not just off the top of my head throwing out a number, actually, so that they can feel comfortable that this is what history shows the last couple of months. So it makes them feel more comfortable as well, even though
Yeah.
they're probably paying more than what they want.
Yeah, I can also see it being very discouraging for a lot of buyers right now. Any suggestions or tips to make them not feel discouraged and just more positive and like, knowing that look, the deal will come. Any tips, advice on that?
Just keep following up with them. If they're not very secure and you're not talking to them very frequently, or even sending them properties, then it probably doesn't make them feel any better. So I make sure I follow up every 2 or 3 days. Just say, what, don't worry, we're going to find your property. How about this one? Even might be a little bit outside of what they wanted, but at least showing that, hey, there is other properties in the market and there is some coming up all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I've also heard recently like a lot of more cases of a lot of sellers putting their homes up for probably more than what they should, taking them off the market, and a lot of buyers getting some off market deals. Any experience with that?
No, not actually being taken off the market that way, but that's another benefit of being on a team is there is potential to have that pre-sale before it goes in the market. If you have a buyer who's been looking for 3 months, 4 months, put in 5 or 6 offers, and all of a sudden you have a property, we have our team meetings where we discuss our upcoming listings and that type of thing. So we could have potentially a sale before it even hits the market. You get two people that are happy with the price, and everybody's happy and goes away happy.
Yeah, for sure. So you said 40 plus deals in the year. I'm sure every deal has been very different. Maybe had some unique sets of challenges, perhaps. Do you have any examples of a deal that stands out that you sort of had to overcome a hurdle or something unique within that deal?
Uh, you know what? Not really. The hardest thing that I've had to overcome really is a buyer who had to have a condition of finding a property that they liked. They got paid a fairly good dollar for their house, but still, had to wait to find that house that they could buy before they would agree to the terms. So, that's challenging because any house comes up, you're trying to show them houses, trying to get them so you can get obviously the buyer of your house satisfied, and then you get them satisfied in finding a property without feel like they're being forced to buy a house. But that's probably the biggest challenge is
Yeah.
a deal that's there, but not feeling secure enough with the market to buy without that condition.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's a tough question. I guess every instance is so
Hmm.
different. Every client is very unique, and
Hmm.
just in a way, every single deal is probably unique in a way. Um,
Yeah, it is.
so being like a new agent yourself, but very successful, right? Again, 23 million this year. That's incredible. If you had to give one piece of advice to another brand new agent that's just starting out, what would that one piece of advice be?
That would be to join a team, without a doubt. You can't do it on your own. So I started working at Toyota at the same time as real estate, so that was even more difficult. But without a team to bounce questions off and support you, it's very hard to get going in this industry.
Yeah, no, good advice for sure. And um, yeah, I think the success and the numbers speak for themselves on how important
Hmm.
that is for sure.
Hmm.
Um, Jay, I do want to be mindful of your time. I do end off each chat with what I call the top three. You ready for some heavy hitters here?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yes.
Number one, your favorite or most impactful book that you've read?
um, Probably Finding Ultra by Rich Roll.
Sorry,
It's a book about
Finding Ultra?
Ultra. Yeah, he's
Okay.
was a fantastic athlete in high school and
Hmm.
university, and then found himself in his mid 40s overweight, and all of a sudden Just he he became a vegan, and he does these ultra 100-mile races. So, you know, was very active, then not so, and then mid 40s just started his career off, and now he's probably the best in the world.
Well, no, I never heard of that one. Just
Yep.
checked it out.
Yes.
Seems very interesting. Awesome.
It is. It is. Very good book.
Awesome. Number two, your favorite vacation spot.
Well, I've always thought I had one, but actually I asked one of my clients yesterday what's his favorite vacation spot, and he said the next one. So that's probably the best.
Yeah,
I've
I
been a
like that.
lot, yeah, Jamaica, Mexico, that kind of thing, and I love every vacation I've been on, but I think the next one, yeah.
Nice, nice. I like that one. And lastly, if you can go back, and you don't have to go back too far, but if you had to go back, what was the one thing you wish you knew when you were just starting out in real estate?
Just how important it is just to make friends and be mindful of everybody and make sure, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
it's all about, right? And
Hmm.
being successful in this business is relationships and
It is, and that I didn't realize that when I started. It's all about relationships and making sure that you're the best person you are, it can be, and helping everybody out.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Jay, thank you so much. This was a pleasure chatting. Actually, if someone wanted to learn more, reach out. Where's the best place they can find you?
You get at J Friesen Real Estate on my Instagram channel. Texting or calling 519-536-6542. I have my J Friesen Real Estate Facebook page, and I also have J Friesen Real Estate YouTube channel, which I've just started, and
Nice.
hopefully getting that up and going.
Awesome, awesome. Jay, thank you so much. This was a pleasure chatting. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get inspired, get some good insights from this conversation. So thank you so much and continued success.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right. Thanks again.
Have a good day.